and moving focus to Madhya Pradesh at this hour. Now, the Indore water tragedy, which has claimed several lives, has sent shockwaves across the nation. Victims' families are demanding answers, while fear has gripped residents across the city.
This is a story that in 2026 symbolizes what is actually wrong when it comes to urban governance. Without fixing it, you cannot build a Viksit Bharat.
Hello and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one-stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. 16 people have died and more than 200 people have been admitted to hospital in Indore because of consumption of contaminated drinking water. Since yesterday, more than 100 cases of typhoid have been reported in Gujarat, that is specifically in Gandhinagar, where the issue is again consumption of drinking water. On paper, these look unrelated. But in this video, let me prove it to you that the issue of contaminated drinking water is not an episodic but rather a systemic issue. Let me start with certain data point here. Between 2005 to 2022, India has reported over 20 crore cases of major waterborne diseases. And not just this, according to the report published by Niti Aayog, Composite Water Management Index, nearly 2 lakh people annually die because of inadequate access to safe drinking water. So this is not an episodic issue that there are, let's say people being admitted to hospital because they have got a disease, they are ill, etc. and people are dying in certain numbers in certain cities. In the last 1 year, there have been reported cases because of consumption of contaminated drinking water in cities such as Bhopal, Pune, Gurugram, Delhi, Tiruvallur district, which falls very near to Chennai, Tamil Nadu. So multiple instances have been reported in India. Now let's understand what is the issue, what are the causes behind it, and why am I saying that this is not an episodic issue that keeps on recurring here and there. It is a systemic issue. Let me prove it to you. These are the reasons why the instances of contaminated drinking water will keep on recurring, and there will be deaths if the issue is not addressed effectively by the union government along with the states as well as urban local bodies. Let me start with the issues here. The fundamentals of urban planning are generally violated. Whenever a city has to be planned, a locality has to be planned, there is a particular process you need to follow. There are fundamentals you need to follow. The drinking water supply has to meet the standards set up by BIS. The pipelines which are laid for supplying drinking water as well as the sanitation, the pipelines should be different, should not be nearer to each other. And in a lot of these cases, without any plan, the cities have expanded. And because there are no plans available, the administrators have no clue where the pipelines are located, where the repairs have to be done, where the leakages are happening, etc. And in a lot of these particular cases, the contamination of the water doesn't happen at the beginning, that is a starting point. It doesn't happen at the end point, that is a consumer. It happens somewhere in between. For example, take the issue of Indore city. Here, since July, the residents were complaining that there is a smell that is coming from the drinking water. Despite multiple reports, multiple complaints, administration did not take up any kind of action. And the issue was very simple. There was a contamination of drinking water because the sewage contaminants basically got into the drinking water supply pipeline, and this was consumed by the people, as a result of which many people died and more than 200 are admitted in the hospital. So first issue is violation of fundamentals of town planning. And in many of these particular towns, the pipelines laid down for drinking water supply are very, very old. According to the Delhi Jal Board report, more than 2,800, approximately 18% of the total pipeline that is used for drinking water supply for the people in New Delhi, more than 2,800 kilometers, is more than 30 years old. There is a need for urgent repair, urgent replacement of these particular pipelines. And in context of Indore, the pipeline that is associated with the drinking water supply was more than 130 years old. So there is a need to ensure there's a proper planning. All the reports are available for the subsequent administrators to take action whenever there is a need of it. Second issue is intermittent water supply. What do you mean by this? In most of the cities, especially in villages, you must have seen the water that is supplied for drinking is not supplied 24/7. We don't supply 24/7 drinking water. And when we don't supply 24/7, what people do, what households do, we store water. Because we know that drinking water will be available after 2 days, after 3 days, after 1.5 days. So what we do is, we store water rather than drinking simultaneously. When the drinking water supply is there, we store it for future consumption. And if there is any contaminant of the sewage, for example, in the context of Indore, the examination of the contaminated water showed that there was a cocktail of various microbes, pathogens. There were pathogens from fungi, right? Pathogens, protozoa, algae, right? Bacteria. All of these were found. And that's the reason the experts have called this as cocktail of pathogens. And what generally happens is, let's assume there is a leakage. There is a leakage of the sewage water, and this will join into the drinking water supply. People will not just drink, but will also store the water. And because they store, the contamination will spread. And in a lot of these particular cases, as mentioned earlier, the pipelines that are used to supply the drinking water, these are very old. And when these pipelines are very, very old, when the local administration will conduct certain digging up, right, where different departments will conduct work on different, right, schedule altogether. There is no coordination, cooperation whatsoever. When the digging will happen, if there is a very small damage that is caused to the drinking water pipelines, or for that matter, sewage pipelines, because these are very old, the contaminants will flow out and these will enter into the drinking water stream. All of these essentially are causing multiple instances throughout India. And this is nothing new. These have been happening in the past. Now this has come into public discussion. Fourth issue is solid waste management. Whenever you construct toilets, be it in urban India or rural India, there is a proper mechanism that you need to follow. For example, in Indore case, there was supposed to be a septic tank which was supposed to be constructed. It was not done. As a result of this, the waste basically flowed, entered into the pipelines, and this was supplied in the form of drinking water to the consumers. And not to forget, listen to me very carefully. Whenever there is an intermittent water supply, 24/7 water supply, there is one more advantage associated with this. That is, when there is a continuous pressurized, I repeat, pressurized water supply, there is a very high pressure within the pipelines which is supplying water. And because there is a very high pressure, positive pressure, the external leakages, even if they are present, they will not find it easier to enter into water stream. When you have intermittent water supply, there is a very high negative pressure that is developed in these particular pipelines. Even if there is a solid waste that is lying around, because of the very high negative pressure, it will be pulled into these particular pipes which are very old, which develop cracks because of their, right, let's say age. In addition to this, whenever the schemes are being implemented, the projects are being implemented, the focus is not on the quality of the water. The focus is generally on how many taps have been installed. What is the length of the pipeline that has been installed? What is the expenditure that is incurred, right, etc. According to the CSE report, the focus should not be on the parameters like this. Rather, the focus should be on the quality of the drinking water that is supplied to the people. So what is the solution to all these particular problems which are systemic issues? What is the solution? One, there should be a 24/7 pressurized water supply. And I know some of you will be thinking, sir, is it even possible? Is it even possible to supply drinking water 24/7? Are there examples? Of course, yes. The government of India from 2021 implemented an initiative, Amrut 2.0. In fact, under Amrut 2.0, the government of India had certain, right, special type of incentives or financial assistance to be provided in the regions which were implementing and ensuring 24/7 drinking water supply. And are there any examples in India, in the states, in the cities, where there is a 24/7 drinking water supply? Yes, please mention this. It is Odisha. In the state of Odisha, there are 10 districts mind you, where there is 24/7 drinking water supply. And there are 14 more districts, just make a correction, 20 more districts where right now 60% of the households have been covered under 24/7 drinking water supply. Right? So there are instances, there are pilot projects which have been implemented, which have been successful. In fact, according to one survey, whenever there is a continuous water supply, the water bills in fact come down. Because the people, rather than storing, and you must have seen in many of the households, they will store the drinking water once it is supplied, they will store in large, right, let's say containers. After 3 days, after 4 days, once the water is supplied again, they will, they will basically spill the container water. They will clean the container and again fill with the water which is being supplied now. So in many of the cases, the motor bills, that is the power motor or water motor bills, especially in urban cities, it has come down because there is a 24/7 drinking water supply. People are happy with the continuous supply or continuous service. So they will not be worried about storing. In fact, according to a report, please remember this particular report, CPHEEO, Central Public Health and Environmental Engineering Organization, CPHEEO, back in the year 1948 itself, recommended that there should be a 24/7 drinking water supply, pressurized drinking water supply, which will be sufficient to ensure the drinking water will reach even if the house has 3 or 4 stories. That will ensure house will not be using the water motor and the current bills or the electricity bills will be lower. This is one recommendation. And before this is being implemented, here is one more very important point to note. Before this is implemented, the authorities must ensure there is no non-revenue water supply. Non-revenue water supply, NRW. What is this idea of a non-revenue water supply? Take the city of New Delhi. In New Delhi, 50 to 52% of the drinking water supply, there is no accounting for it. Accounting in the sense, either there are leakages or there is a water theft. And because of this, more than half of the drinking water that is supplied, there is no account, there is no revenue that is generated by the municipalities or the local authorities here. So first we need to address the NRW and then ensure there is a 24/7 pressurized drinking water supply. In addition to this, we should adopt technologies. We have artificial intelligence. We have better kind of technologies which are available to the government. Why don't we adopt these particular technologies to find out, to map the network of pipelines, to find out where the leakages are happening, to report, the systems automatically reporting these leakages. All of that can be done provided we adopt the technologies. Next, better solid waste management. We have to ensure there is a proper solid waste management. And fourth one is third-party evaluation. Right now, the municipalities supply drinking water. They implement the projects. They evaluate how they are working. If municipality itself does all the work, don't you think there is a conflict of interest? How is the municipality performing? There should be a third-party evaluation that is done in order to ensure there is an efficient mechanism implemented, and more importantly, the authorities in the municipalities are held accountable. Otherwise, when these kind of instances happen where people die, people are admitted, etc., then the government wakes up and, let's say the heads, the commissioners of the municipalities are shunted out, transferred, etc., etc. We need proper reforms. These are some of the recommendations that you can provide in order to address this particular systemic risk or systemic issue of drinking water supply in India. Now, based on the discussion, here is an MCQ. I want you to tell me what is the correct answer to this question in the comment section of the video. Consider the following statements. Drinking water is listed under the Union List of Indian Constitution. The drinking water, tap as well as bottled, must meet the BIS standards. What is the correct answer? Do let me know. And I want to leave you with this particular thought. These instances are not isolated. These instances keep on happening day in, day out, but these are not reported very effectively, and there is no public accountability that is held. It is high time that the government of India, along with the state governments as well as the local bodies, take up this particular matter in all seriousness and implement the reforms in order to ensure that this will not snowball into a major public healthcare issue in the coming days. That's it from my side. What are your thoughts regarding this issue? Do let me know in the comment section. Thank you. Have a great day.